Well, can you believe it? I am brave enough to get back in front of this microphone here at the I-1053 podcast studio to give you episode 2 of Momstrosity podcast. So I was a little nervous last week. I'm not going to lie, a little congested from some allergies. But you know what? If you don't try something the first time, you'll never try it, right? So I am back. I am excited for this episode. Feel like it'll be for everybody this time. But one thing I wanted to incorporate, and I want to thank and shout out my cousin Shelby. Yeah, I'm calling you out this time. She sent me an idea, and I'm appreciative of it, where basically you can send in a question to me at either my Instagram at Momstrosity Pod or on my Facebook page, Momstrosity Podcast, or just leave a comment on one of my posts each week of a question you would like for me to answer for you. Or if you just need some advice on a situation. Maybe I'm not the person for that, but I am an empath, and I would be glad to share my perspective if it's something I've maybe gone through, or get the advice of my listeners and present that to you. So, without further ado, welcome to episode 2 of Momstrosity. I am Kelsie, your host. I'm going to start with the Ask Momstrosity section. This question came from my cousin Shelby, and it is: when did you realize your child was no longer a baby anymore? Like, what was it that made you realize, like, they're growing up, they're becoming more independent, they're gonna, like, not need me in, like, 3 days? And she sent me a cute picture of her son just eating an apple whole, and X is munching on that apple, and it just kind of made her feel like he definitely looks super grown up. I think for me, with my son, with Jax, I think with him, it was when he no longer needed me to put his shoes on him. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but this child was stubborn when it came to getting himself dressed. So I think that really did it for me. I think he's probably like 2 and was doing these things, but in retrospect, it just seemed like he was actually like 16 years old, and he was going to grab the keys and walk right out of my house. For Tay, my daughter, man, she is already like going on age 30, I feel like. But we were at Disney over the summer with my mom and my bonus dad, and she did like this makeover that you can do. And so they'll do your hair and your nails, and you get to pick out a pretty dress, and you sit in the big girl chair, and you get your makeover done. And I think that made her look so much older to me. And as beautiful of a moment it was, it just like ripped my heart out, because then you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to buy prom dresses. I'm going to buy a wedding dress one day for her. Like, it just, you think of all those things. So I feel like those were 2 moments in my kid's life where I felt like they were really, really grown up and no longer this baby. They were transitioning into that weird kid phase, as they call it. So I really appreciate that question and the ability to reflect on when that kind of happened for me in motherhood, and sharing that story as well. So my topic for today is things I wish I would have learned earlier in my life. Now, I know you're thinking, Kelsie, you are still in your 20s. And yes, I am. But I've done a lot of living in my 28 years of life. I've experienced a lot. And I got married young, not because I had to or anything. It's genuinely because I wanted to. My husband and I got married when I was 20. We had our sweet boy. I was 21, almost 22 when we had Jackson. But, you know, growing up, I mean, I've experienced a lot of things, and I'm appreciative for what my life has kind of put in my way, even the roadblocks or the obstacles. I think we can show some appreciation to those things in our life. But starting off, number 1, the art of setting boundaries. So I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, I used to be the worst person about setting boundaries. Why? Why, you ask? Because I didn't want to hurt people's feelings or let them down. If you are in my corner, you know I love deeply and greatly, and I don't ever want to feel like I'm letting people down. But in the midst of that, I learned by not laying boundaries down, there were people that'll take advantage of that. It does lead to, burning out personally, professionally, by not setting boundaries. So it's important to have protective personal boundaries in your relationships, your family, your friendships, in work, your day to day. It's critical. It's right. It's important for your mental health. Leads to healthier connections. You kind of can see maybe who's trying to take advantage of you versus someone that's being more understanding to the boundaries you set, not taking it personally, because it's never personal, right? But I always say this, and if my friend is listening, one of my best friends since preschool, childhood, I would always tell her, you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you can't. And when you start being a yes man, a yes woman to everything, you are left with nothing. So it's totally okay to lay boundaries down. And if people can't respect your boundaries, maybe you need to reassess the place they hold in your life, or have a critical discussion of why it's important. It's not personal. It never is. It's protecting yourself, protecting your mental well-being, which overall protects you as a person, right? So setting boundaries has always been a big thing for me. I struggled with, honestly, like early on in my career, I was really afraid to say no or speak up. I was a yes man to a lot of things, personally and professionally. And now I'm thankful that I'm in an environment where we thrive on feedback and we thrive on setting those boundaries and being protective. Professionally, I'm very lucky in that aspect to be in that kind of environment where it's okay to have those moments. In personal life too, people that are in my corner, they're very respectful of my boundaries. May not always agree with them, and that's okay. But they understand that it's not my intention to hurt them. It is just protecting myself from just being too empty to pour into my family, to my friends, my personal life. So let's move over to perfection, and why perfection is the enemy of progress. So being a perfectionist, okay, let me backtrack. So job interviews, right? They always ask you, what's your weakness? And I remember reading this article. It's like, never say you're a perfectionist. It just looks like bad or whatever. Genuinely though, that is one of my faults. And anybody that knows me, especially professionally, knows that if I don't have a picture perfect day, I feel like a failure. Even if I've accomplished 1,000,001 things, if I missed 1,000,002 things, that one thing will be what I think about all day, because it didn't feel like it was a perfect day for me. I am slowly getting better at that, but I feel like if I don't deliver, if I'm not perfect, somehow I'm going to let the people around me down. And that's not always the case. Okay, let's be honest. It's not. Our brain likes to play some tricks on us. But if you're perfect, where can you go from there? If you have no more room to grow, you are great at everything you do, you never mess up, where's your growth? How do you grow if you are already perfect? And I want to continue to grow and learn and develop myself, because you're going to live a really boring life if you stop because you think you're perfect, or you strive only for perfection and not for that continuous growth and knowledge. So I do think sometimes perfection can be the enemy of our progress. And there's a whole world out there for you to learn everything, right? I don't know every language. I don't know how to work on a car. Things like that. Things you want to learn, right? If we knew it all, we would be boring people. We would be bored. What else is there to work on and work towards if we're perfect people? Which leads me into this, and you probably caught this a little bit last week when I was talking about it, but comparison is the thief of joy. I feel like, first of all, I love social media. I love being connected to others. I think it's very beneficial. We have family all over the globe. We have friends all over the globe. This is a way for us to keep up with each other and see what's going on in each other's lives at our fingertips. But I can also remember like not knowing about someone's divorce unless like my grandpa read it in the paper. Okay, like people's business was their business. It wasn't for everybody to gossip about. And if they did, it wasn't blasted all over a social media page. It was maybe talked about at the coffee table with your family sitting around. It was it was easier then too. So I think we only see like a sliver of people's lives, especially in social media in this day and age. We only see a sliver of people's lives. And I catch myself sometimes, like it's so easy to compare, like, oh my goodness, like they got a brand new car. I want a brand new car. Oh my goodness, they have this, or they've got this, or they've just got this perfect relationship. And, you know, these are all things that we have access to, and it makes our brain think we're failing. We're not living up to par of these people that are in our lives that are living these happy-go-lucky, day in, day out, perfect life. What we don't step back and see is, oh my gosh, how much debt would that put me in if I did that? How blessed am I to have a happy, healthy marriage and a beautiful life with my children? And, look at what we're building here. It's so easy to get caught up in the comparison of things. And it does. It's genuinely it's the thief of joy. We're all on unique and different paths, and life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We all end up at the same finish line. There's no easy way out of it, right? So be thankful for what you have now, even in the complexity of things. If things are really hard for you right now, grasp onto the things that are going well. Food in your belly, roof over your head, car that gets you to and from work, being able to take that little trip with your family, even if it's for a weekend, just to stay in a little hotel. Just grasp onto the small things. Invest in the small things, because that will fill your life bank faster than anything. It really, really will. Next, invest in relationships that invest in you. Now, I will say it has taken me a long time to really establish this, because I have a hard time like seeing people for who they are, because I genuinely just love everybody. That's just how I was raised. And my mom will straight tell you, like, love everybody, hate has no place anywhere. Love everybody. And I do. But I also know that if I give energy into something, I expect it to be reciprocated. Now, there's exceptions to that. Okay? There are exceptions to that. When I was in the trenches of motherhood, I don't think I responded to very many text messages. So I didn't respond to very many text messages, especially in the newborn phase with both of my kids. And then you move to that 2 under 2 phase. And it's a wonder I even slept at that point, let alone respond to a message. But, as your kids get older and you're more reliant on those relationships, those friendships, even family, whatever you're going through, I always feel it's important to have reciprocated energy. So there was an instance where if I noticed, like, I was the one engaging in conversation with someone, and unfortunately, they weren't reaching back out to me to start the initial conversation. I was always the one being a conversation starter with this person. And my husband and I just talked, and he was like, you know what? Like, maybe just don't text for a couple weeks and see when they reach out to you. And I did the math, and it was legitimately only when they needed something. Is that reciprocated energy? No, but it was hard to kind of lay, here we go, the boundary down to say, hey, like, you're only reaching out to me when you want or need something. It's never, how was your day? And it's a simple text. And And I think that was hard. It was hard to really realize that there are people that keep you in their corner for their benefit. You don't have to stay in that corner when there's a whole other world to explore with people that are going to love you just for what you bring to the table, not anything additionally that you can do for them. My other one in particular is failure is a stepping stone. It's not an endpoint. So if you knew me from the time I was probably about 12 to 18, 19, if you've known me that long and you're listening, I bet you can answer this question. What did I want to be when I grew up? 3, 2, 1. It was a nurse. I wanted to be a nurse for the longest time. I was doing activities aid position when I was 17. Like I initially got into healthcare. Then I became a CNA and then a qualified medication aid and then a medical assistant. Went to nursing school for a little while. And then the pandemic happened, and I saw a lot of mistreatment of healthcare professionals and how all that dying really took a mental toll on me. But I knew I was destined to help people. And when I tell you, when I walked away from nursing, I felt like the biggest failure ever. I'm like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't know what I want to do. Like, this is all I've ever known. This is all I've ever worked for. But then I found something I could do that helped people, and it honestly has brought some really incredible people into my life's journey that I see as mentors and lifelong friends. Wouldn't you know it, the girl that wanted to be a nurse is now an HR professional. And I can still help people and be impactful. There's just, people not passing away. There's not a lot of that, which contributed a lot to my mental health. But I struggled for a while when I realized nursing wasn't my thing. But that sense of failure was my stepping stone because it brought me into a role that then exposed me to my mentor, who I was so blessed to know and grow alongside, and still am. Led me to incredible friendships, people I can pick up the phone on a hard day, work or not, and they'll be there for me. So in a time when I felt I was failing, my story was being written for something so much greater. We have to appreciate the valuable learning experiences that we face when we feel like we're going through a failure. And sure, yeah, I felt like I failed. I really felt like I failed. But now I find the joy in what I do every day. It's something I'm passionate about. Sometimes maybe makes me want to pull my hair out, but it's because I have a servant's heart, and I always have. And I want to help people and fix things. And there's times I can't, right? There's times you cannot fix everything. But I've learned if I can at least fix some things, I'm still making a difference. So that failure really brought me to my passion, and I'm so grateful for it. I'm so, so grateful for it and the people that I have been exposed to as a result. My next thing is your health is a non-negotiable. Your health, your mental health, your physical well-being, self-care is imperative. And I will be honest with you, I didn't start really taking care of my overall health, mental and physical, until last December when I finally said something's got to give. I have to take care of myself. I don't have good genetics. Sorry to my parents that are listening. I just don't. So, I started going to the gym last year. And at first, I was in it for like the weight loss. I was like, I want to lose weight. Like, I've got this baby weight on me. I just want to lose weight. And then when I wasn't seeing the results I wanted in a timely manner, I almost gave up. But then it switched from I want to lose weight to I want to be healthy, strong, and build muscles. I had a mindset shift. I wasn't about to give up. I wasn't about to let the results I felt I was lacking deviate me from the goal. And that was getting healthier, stronger, and taking care of my mental well-being. And I will say going to the gym gave me an outlet and really contributed to my overall physical and mental health. And it's funny just doing things like that contribute to self-care. It could be going and getting your nails done, going and getting a massage, taking a nap, going for a walk. All these things. Invest in your self-care. Invest in your self-care. Your health is a non-negotiable. We only get one shot at this thing, right? We get one shot at life. And we need to take care of it and be blessed with the ability to do these things. Because having worked in long-term care, I can tell you, like, these trips around the sun, they may seem long and daunting, but I tell you, it's impactful when you're sitting next to a World War II vet who's telling you their story, and you can't believe it seems like it's happened so long ago. We just need to take advantage of taking care of ourselves. We get one life, right? And we should invest in that. Go for a run. I always think of the people that maybe can't go for a run, and I run a little harder for them. Or, take a walk in the sunshine. I promise you, just those little implementations make your mental health significantly better, just in my opinion. Try it. I want to hear your feedback. Go for a walk. Go just grab your favorite coffee and sit in the corner of a coffee shop and just watch the world go by for a little bit. Just invest a little bit of time in your self-care and your health. And come back to me and tell me, did that impact you at all? Did it make a difference? I really, really want to know if it impacted you. Finally, you do not need to have it all figured out. And if you do, I'm going back to my statement on perfection, okay? Like, what else is there for you to do if you know everything and you have it all figured out? Life is a literal roller coaster. It's got highs, it's got lows, it's got some dips, curves, maybe a flip or two in between. It's okay to not have like a clear roadmap. I just told you a story of what I thought I wanted to be when I grew up, and it ended up not being my passion. What I do now is. We have to encourage embracing the uncertainty and learn from it along the way and see the value in learning from it along the way. We can't have everything figured out. We can't. We're not full of all the wisdom in the world, though I'm sure we would love to be. That's what Google and encyclopedias are for, okay? But you don't. You do not need to have it all figured out. If anyone's acting like they have it figured out, I can assure you the only thing they've figured out is how to lie really well to you. We've all had different life journeys. We have all had different life journeys, and they're still different. They will always be different. So find it in yourself to come together with people that maybe have been on different life journeys. Okay, so there's a couple quotes I want to leave you with on that topic. One of them is, sometimes our lives have to be completely shaken up, changed, and rearranged to relocate us to the place we're meant to be. And another one, sit me next to the man or woman doing better than me so that I can learn from them. And if you are blessed enough to be a mentor, I'm blessed to have an amazing one. If you're blessed enough to be a mentor, I hope you know the impacts you can make on other people, whether it be professionally or personally. Maybe you're an older sibling and people look up to you. Maybe you're the older friend of the group and people look up to you. You can make such a difference in people's lives. These are all things I really do wish I learned earlier in life. But again, I think we have to learn from failures and exposures to maybe people that say they're in our corner and they're not, to grow, to develop, to become strong, become resilient. We're all blessed with oxygen in our lungs. Everything after that is just added blessings. And the speed bumps in the road, though chaotic, they just teach us things. And I think it's really important to have a different perspective. I leave you with that. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I'm really appreciative of the support you've given me. And if this podcast episode made a difference to you, I would love to hear it. Hearing that it impacts others really helps fuel the fire. Next week, I will be having my first guest. Can't wait. So stay tuned for that. And this is Momstrosity Podcast.